To explain to my brothers why, even though we are only in the 10th grade, I can calmly accept being sold to China, it is necessary to add the following aside. I was born into a large family of an ethnic minority, and because there were many children along with difficult circumstances, the affection of my parents towards their children was not as warm as in other families. This may seem very unreasonable to many people, especially those from large families. Even now, in my hometown, it is still very common for women from ethnic groups like the Dao and Hmong to give birth and then sell their children, or for many parents to exploit their own children to sell goods or beg from tourists. If you travel to Sapa or similar places, you will see urban order vehicles using loudspeakers to announce, asking tourists not to buy goods or give gifts or money to children, as doing so inadvertently supports their parents who are sitting idly and using their children as tools to make money. It's quite strange, isn't it, everyone? In the past, there was a video showing a Hmong village police officer not allowing charity groups to come and give gifts to children for the same reason. It's unfortunate that netizens didn't understand the essence of the issue and ended up attacking him. It's really pitiful. My family has 7 sons. When I was just 3 years old, this wretched person was traded by my family, who had no other children, for a buffalo. Since then, I have not had the chance to see my siblings and biological parents again. My uncle and aunt bought me as mentioned in part 1 and used me as a labor tool, making me work very hard from a young age. Back then, thanks to the government's policy, children from poor households attending boarding schools would be provided with meals, exempted from tuition fees, and received a monthly allowance, which is why my uncle and aunt agreed to let me go to school. The monthly allowance was sent back to my uncle and aunt for them to enjoy, so now I can read and type for you all. Because it is close to the border, crossing over to China is not a big deal. The people in that area are just like us, even of the same ethnicity. It's just that national geography divides us into this country and that country. Since 7th grade, I have been hired to herd buffaloes and cows for traders going to China. As I grew older, during the summer holidays, my uncle and aunt also sent me over there to work. Sometimes I would stay for a month, and other times for 2 to 3 months before coming back. The main work there is forest clearing, planting trees, and harvesting sugarcane. The people there are also gentle and simple, so selling from one house to another feels quite normal to me. To be honest, at that age, I was much more mature than my peers. In the case of human trafficking, the most frightening aspect primarily affects women, as those who are lucky may be sold off to marry single men, while others may become secondary wives, and even worse, some may end up as wives for the entire household. If one has a bit of beauty, they will be sold to brothels, locked in a 20 square meters room to entertain clients every day, and when their beauty fades, they will be sold to men who lack wives. Some may find a good husband and lead a peaceful life, while others who encounter a miserable fate become slaves to their entire family. It is truly sad. Speaking of the next thing, I was accompanied by 2 Chinese people to the border. That day, we walked for half the morning before finally getting out of the forest. They intentionally took breaks while walking so that we would emerge from the woods at dusk to avoid being seen. Along the way, I walked between the 2 of them. They were probably afraid I would escape. Upon arriving at the gathering point, there was a fairly large hut at the edge of the forest. Here, I saw 2 young men who seemed to be 1 to 2 years older than me, and, oh dear, there was also a young woman, probably in her 20s, very beautiful. Looking at her, I felt pity for the life she would have to endure next. In addition, there were 3 Chinese men, one of whom was closely following the girl like a shadow. After finishing dinner, around 9 p.m., we were all taken onto the bus. I didn't know which direction we were heading, but hearing the calls of birds and the howls of gibbons, I guessed we weren't going to the city but rather deep into a remote mountainous area. At a junction, there was a car waiting. A man and a girl got into that car, but I didn't know where they were going. As for us, we continued down the bumpy road, just like our own lives, going deeper and deeper into the darkness of life.